Hi, everyone. Welcome to InformaGente, where we're taking a closer look at what 16 million Californian Latinx people can do to stay safe and healthy in the times of COVID-19, and to better understand what to do to help their families in these months to come. My name is Eréndira Ibarra. I am an actress and an activist. You might have seen me in Sense8 or Ingobernable on Netflix, and we're now trying to shoot Matrix 4. My special guest today is Gina Da Silva. She is Senior Policy Advisor for Immigration in the Office of California's Governor, Gavin Newsom. Thank you for all you're doing, Gina, and thank you for joining me on this issue of InformaGente.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to reach out to Latinos, Latinas, immigrant community across the state.
Before we begin, please note that these InformaGente conversations are being produced by three great organizations. Listos California, tasked by Governor Newsom to help everyone across the state prepare for natural disasters. LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, the oldest civil rights organization in the country, and the National Hispanic Foundation for the Arts, which helps build opportunities for Latinx entertainers and communities across California and the US. Gina, why don't you first tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do in the governor's office?
My job can really be different depending on the day, but generally I provide recommendations on immigration-related issues to the governor, to our team. Immigration is really so many things, but I think of it as really about people and how their immigration status intersects with their lives here in California. That could be their job, their healthcare, their ability to become US citizens. It's really so many things. And in a state where at least half of the kids in California have at least one immigrant parent, immigration-related policies are really important for the future of our state.
Of course, so reaching immigrant communities in California, especially at these times, is very personal to me. I'm from San Jose, California. I was born in Mexico City. I moved to San Jose when I was a year old. My mom was a single working mom, working really hard to keep us safe and keep us strong. And now that I'm a mom, I can understand the worries that she is going through and how difficult it must be right now to be a single mom or an immigrant parent trying to pull through in today's economy, but also as Americans and as Mexican Americans or immigrant Americans, no?
The perspective that I feel like I bring to this job is not just the professional and the policy, but also really the personal, because I think, it really is a personal issue. My parents came here really young in their teens and early teens, and they actually met because my grandmothers were taking English classes together. And so, just like you, immigration it shapes our lives. And so it's really an honor to bring that perspective to shaping the policies and really, I hope, honoring the contributions that so many immigrant Californians make to our state, but particularly honoring the contributions of my own family and the contributions they made as immigrants.
If we want things to change, we really do need to have dignified representation in our government, in our local government, in our federal government. And in order to make things happen, we have to be in that spot. And see you there I'm very grateful, and thank you for your hard work, Gina. This is especially important right now with COVID-19 because we know that they're the ones that are, well, not only getting sick more, but also having a harder time getting through the illness itself. What's leading on to this situation in the United States?
We're learning more every day, right? But certainly there's been a lot of data, a lot of reports about how COVID-19 has hit certain communities harder. A lot of these communities continue to be in our workforce, in our essential workforce, right? They're not able to work from home. And so that means that they have to take extra precaution. So that's why information about how to protect yourself at work, how to protect yourself at home, how to take care of yourself and your loved ones. So it's really an important time to have the right information.
So Gina, you recently published a comprehensive COVID-19 guide for immigrant Californians. Can you share more about what's in there and what information it can provide for everyone?
First of all, it really reminds us about the prevention guidelines. Face covers. I know that it's sort of a new thing for folks. You don't need the professional mask. You can cover your nose and your mouth with a scarf, with a bandana. Don't forget to also wash your hands consistently, and social distancing, keeping 6 feet distance between ourselves and people that live outside of our household.
And it's so tough for us Latinos, but we have to understand, no hugging, no kissing.
even though we may not be able to hug, we can still check in on each other. We can still make sure that we are finding ways to call, to text. We're all still here, even though we have to be physically apart. It's important to check in.
I think for Latinos right now, we have to understand different ways of showing people how much we love each other. I have a grandmother that lives in San Jose, and she goes through dialysis. She asked me, like, what do I do if I feel sick? What can we tell people? Like, what is the first thing that happens in California? What do you have to do as soon as you feel a little bit of a tingle?
It's important that we want everyone to know that if they're feeling sick, to seek a test, to get treatment, to see the doctor. It doesn't matter about your immigration status. It's really important that when you're not feeling well, that you seek the care that you need, and now more than ever.
These stories of deportations happening during this time, and people are very scared to go out. Is that actually something that's not allowing them to get tested?
Latinos, immigrants, they're often may be afraid to go to the doctor because they think there's some sort of consequence for their immigration status, either if it's themselves or someone in their family, right? Or public charge, I know, is something that comes up a lot for families as well. But in California, we've made sure that everyone that needs care related to COVID-19 can get testing, can get treatment for COVID, regardless of their immigration status. And there's no implications for the public charge issue. This coverage comes under Medi-Cal, and so it doesn't matter if you don't have insurance, if you're undocumented, if you need the testing and the treatment, you will get it.
For example, in my grandmother's generation, it's very common always to wait till it's too late. When we're talking about COVID-19 and how different the symptoms can be in every person, is it important to call your doctor immediately? Wouldn't it be important to call your doctor immediately?
Yeah, don't wait, right?
Don't wait. Don't wait. I'll wait. Don't wait.
Don't wait. It's important to seek care right away, right? And to talk to the doctor, and I think it's also why it's important to check in on our loved ones, because sometimes, they need to hear that message from somebody else.
So in these times, and people aren't just worried about their health, people have now lost jobs. Some of them are getting hours cut back. They're having trouble finding food, paying their bills. What information can we give those people?
The COVID-19 Resource Guide for Immigrants starts off talking about healthcare. It also provides much more information, including public benefits that are available to all Californians, even people who are undocumented. And so it's really critical to look at the guide, because sometimes there's a lot of resources that are available locally. There's public benefits that the state offers. And in California, we have a lot of mixed status households, right? We may have a dad who's a US citizen, a mom who's undocumented, a child who's US citizen. There's also information for people that are, having a hard time emotionally or suffering from mental health issues as well. So, make sure that people are accessing that information as much as possible, and then sharing that information as well.
I think that's something that's very important, especially because just as those varied households have varied technology scale households, I personally think that we should invite, all the young people that are watching us to please share this information with their entire family. Is there anything else in the guide that you think it is important that everyone knows that they have access to if they need it?
Sometimes people think because of their immigration status, they have less rights, they have less protections. But there are a number of those protections in the state of California, regardless of your immigration status. So it provides that type of information, protections against discrimination, right? What to do if you can't pay your rent, what to do if you can't pay your mortgage. There's also resources for small businesses. Latinos are heavily represented in small businesses in California and across the country. And so it's important to connect those Latinos and Latinas with those resources as well. And then, of course, I would have to mention immigration services. We have a list available in the guide of nonprofits across California that provide free or low-cost immigration services. And many of them are working remotely right now. So they're still available by phone or by internet to help people who have questions about immigration during these difficult times.
It's crazy because every time we find ourselves in situations where there's so much out of our control, fear comes in, and sometimes it paralyzes us from being able to see the options that we have in front of us, right? Like natural disasters, for example. I want to pivot the conversation a little bit towards that, because we might still find another situation further ahead, maybe an earthquake or something that once again is out of our control and creates so much fear for us.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, I think we're heading towards wildfire season here in California, right? It's getting hotter and a little bit drier. And just remember that when there is an emergency, you know, you're going to see a lot of police and first responders maybe helping to manage a mass evacuation. They're there to guide people along roads or the highways, but they're not immigration agents, right? They're first responders that just want to get people out safely and as quickly as possible. They will not ask you about your immigration status. That would actually be against the law. It's really about getting you safely to where you need to go. And so it's really important not to be paralyzed in those moments.
In these shelters that California sets up during, the fire seasons or any other natural disasters, can they be carded by the authorities that establish those areas?
This question comes up a lot, actually, especially I remember in the wildfires in Santa Rosa, that it came up as, you know, a big fear. And so I just want to remind folks that most shelters during those times, during a disaster, they're run by the Red Cross. And the Red Cross is not going to ask people to show forms of ID to stay in their shelters. Now, they may ask for ID to help provide benefits or services, but again, everyone is welcome in an emergency shelter, no questions asked. You and your family, you'll receive shelter, food, water, regardless of immigration status. And if they do ask for ID, it's usually because they're trying to do some enrollment around services or benefits that may be able to support you.
If a shelter is set up, it'll always be safer than trying to find a way for your family on your own. Is there anything else you would want to add, Gina?
Yeah, I say just generally, you know, it doesn't matter where you are, if you're in your car, if you're in your home, if you're on the street, you have rights. There are so many organizations in California that provide information to immigrants about what their rights are in those different situations. The guide has a list of those organizations, organizations like the Immigrant Legal Resource Center. In California, there's so many languages that are represented. Really encourage folks to find that information and to share it with their friends and family.
Very valuable for someone from the governor's office to say you have rights, because it has so much of a weight there for us to understand that, because it gets scary, and it always feels good to read that California is actually taking care of nuestra gente, of our people. Somos Californianos, thanks to everyone, you know?
We'll continue to update the guide because things are changing, right? And so we'll make sure that the information is accurate as we go through all of this together, but really appreciate the opportunity to share this information and to tell families, Californians across the state, there is information, there is help out there for you. And that information and help is really going to help protect your loved ones. So please share widely. Really appreciate it.
My good friend Felix Sanchez is the co-founder of the National Hispanic Foundation for the Arts. And I would like to know, Felix, do you have any quick words for us?
Thank you, Eréndira. The National Hispanic Foundation for the Arts joins this effort to provide the Latino community with clear and relevant information. NHFA has rallied many of its celebrity partners like Eréndira to create InformaGente, a conversation series directing critical information to the Latino community, which has been amongst the hardest hit both physically and financially by COVID-19. Cindy?
Felix, mil gracias, and it's a pleasure as the CEO of LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, to be partnering with California Listos on the InformaGente series. We know that this is so critically important in answering the questions that so many of us have and that our community is having at this very, very moment. As the oldest and largest Latino civil rights organization, we understand directly from nuestra comunidad, from our members, many of them who are in California, some of the challenges that they're experiencing. And we also know that 5 in 6 Latinos have to leave their houses every single day to work. This information, this venue is so important in making sure it reaches all of our familias in California. I am so proud to be standing next to you, to be partnering with California Listos. I'm going to turn it back to you, Eréndira.
I love my state, and I have a lot of friends right now that are worried, and I think this is going to help them and their families. So I think if we can keep helping people, giving information to them, then let's do it. Be ready, listos. Stay informed and stay safe.